Today, in 5 minutes or less, I'm gonna be teaching you how to calculate all of your macros for lean bulking. Check it out. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna start with here is by bringing you over to my demonstration board. So for example purposes, we're gonna be using a character named Mark. He was 160 pounds, has a height of 5'10", and is 28 years old, looking to bulk up. So the first thing that we need to figure out here is how many calories Mark needs on a daily basis. So we're gonna be using this formula here. This is the Harris-Benedict formula, and I'm just gonna be simply plugging in all the information to calculate his base metabolic rate, which is the exact amount of calories that he needs. Then directly after that, I'm gonna take into account his activity level by choosing one of these 5 options we have here, multiplying that number, and then creating a calorie surplus, because that's what you need to do in order to bulk, and I'll walk you through it right now. Okay, the next important interval to take into account here is exactly how much activity level you or Mark, for this example, gets in a day. We're gonna say for exemplary purposes that Mark here gets roughly moderate exercise 3 to 5 times per week. We're gonna multiply his BMR by 1.55. Okay, now the last thing that we need to take into account here is the fact that Mark here is going to be bulking. He wants to put on weight, so that means we're going to need to create a calorie surplus. The number that we have here, 2,724.4, is the amount of calories he would require to maintain his body weight, with all of these factors included: his height, his weight, and his age, and as well his activity level. We'll give him a calorie surplus of about 250. If you're having a really tough time bulking up, you may need to do a little bit higher. I recommend between 250 to 500 calories. So there we go. This is the exact amount of calories that Mark requires on a daily basis in order to build muscle. Okay, now that we've figured out the exact amount of calories we require to bulk up, we're now able to figure out what our macros are going to be in order for us to bulk up as well. So how many grams of fat we need, how many grams of protein we need, and how many grams of carbs we need. So we're gonna start this off first here by figuring out a protein. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Mark, he weighs 160 pounds, so we'll need 1 gram per 160 pounds. Multiply that, and Mark needs 160 grams of protein. Fat is a little bit different here because you're gonna wanna intake about 20 to 30% of the amount of calories through your fat. Now you can decide this based on how much you're able to eat. If you find it incredibly difficult to eat a lot of food, then you might wanna have your level of fats a little bit higher. As you can see here, the amount of calories in 1 gram of fat is 9, whereas in your carbohydrates, per 1 gram of carbs, there's only 4 calories. So for the exact same quantity, you're getting more than double the amount of calories. If you're struggling to eat a lot of food, then you might want to have that 30% of your diet being entirely fat. If you're having no problem at all, then you can just stick with about 20% of your calories coming from your fat. We'll just say that Mark here is only looking to get 20% of his calories from fat. 20% will reflect 0.2. Now all we gotta do is convert this into the amount of grams of fats we're gonna get every day by referring back to this. So that's gonna reflect 66.1 grams of fat every single day. Okay, now for the last portion of this, we're gonna figure out our carbs. And this is extremely simple. All we have to do is have our total number of calories right here, 2,974.4 calories, and we just have to subtract that number from the amount of calories we have in our protein and the amount of calories we're having from our fat. So you'll remember here, we only have our protein calculated in grams. By using this legend here, I'm gonna convert those grams into calories. Okay, so with that calculated, we found out that 640 calories will come from our protein, 594.9 of our calories are gonna come from our fats. Add the two, protein calories and fat calories, and then subtract them from our total daily calories. Okay, and now when we subtract 2974.4 from the 1234.9 calories, we're gonna be left 1739.5 calories. Now don't mind this little divided by 4. I'm gonna explain that right now. We're gonna refer again back to our legend here. For every 4 calories of carbohydrates we have, that'll equal 1 gram of carbs. So then to get that, all we need to do here is divide this number by 4. And there you go. We've now calculated the exact amount of carbohydrates we need. Let me simplify this here for you. So there you go. This is the exact amount of carbs, fat, and protein that you're gonna be getting every single day. And if you refer to the legend here, it might make a little bit more sense when you notice that 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. And that's why your fat intake looks a little bit smaller than the rest. If you're a 160-pound guy who's at a height of 5'10" and is roughly 28 years old, your daily caloric intake is gonna need to be roughly 2,974.4 calories. Split up upon your macros right here, for lean bulking that is, you're gonna need 434.9 grams of carbs, 66.1 gram of fat, and 160 grams of protein. That is if you're looking to put on muscle. I hope that was a very quick and easy to understand explanation of how to calculate your macros if you're trying to put on a lot of weight. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you won't want to miss. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. How to calculate bulk